All right, good afternoon. Welcome back to the very famous Groiper Sports Groiper Sports YouTube channel. I didn't really feel like doing face cam today, so yeah, no face cam today. This might be my first video without it. But yeah, I didn't really cover a lot of sports stuff. I've been going back and forth with the Drunken Peasants podcast. For some reason, they keep responding to me. I don't know why. They have 111,000 subscribers. I only have 26, and that number went up considerably after my interactions with them. So I guess I got nothing better to talk about. So I'll mooch off their crowd, get some free exposure. So I won't argue with that. But in their most recent response to me, it was only like 15 minutes long, and literally all they did was just call Nick gay again. They didn't even really address me. So there's really no point in me just going back and talking about it, even though I could probably get them to make another response video about it and get even more traffic to the channel. But at some point, I have to draw a line and say, is it worth? It might be worth it for the growth of the channel, but it's honestly not even fun or worth my time anymore. So no more of that, unless for some reason they call me out again. Otherwise I'll say something. But yeah, not doing that anymore. But yeah, there was a lot of sports, very cool and epic sports news that occurred over the past week. March Madness is back, so that's very exciting. I might fill out a bracket at the end of this video. I already did mine. I don't know how many people the 26 anonymous subscribers, I don't know how many people are interested in that kind of thing. I could breeze through it or talk about it. I know people aren't here for solely my sports opinions. Because like I said, you can get that anywhere. Hopefully you're not here for that. Or maybe, you know what, I wouldn't care. But anyway, so yeah, that's going on. That's really exciting. Unfortunately, that's going to consume a lot of my time the next couple weeks because, college basketball is one of the lone, I don't know if innocent's the right word, but, I don't know, unadulterated, unmolested sports out there. A lot of professional sports in the United States are all gay now. All the organizations are gay. And, don't get me wrong, college basketball has a lot of problems with the conferences and the bribery and all that, regardless of your opinion on that. But as far as the pure gameplay, like the product on the court, um, the thing is, it's college basketball. It's mostly kids, so they haven't really been exposed to like the financial dark underbelly of the professional sports world. So a lot of it's mostly just like all heart, all like people chasing their dreams. I know that sounds kind of corny, but these kids, a lot of them after college basketball, they're gonna have to find um, I don't want to say real jobs. That's kind of degrading, but you get what I'm saying. So everyone's leaving it out there. They don't have guaranteed contracts where if they suck, it doesn't matter. There's like 0.001% who are gonna end up playing professionally. So the product is exactly that. It's competitive, um, especially in the NCAA tournament. There's always tears at the end of the games. It's a very enthralling and entertaining experience. So I thoroughly enjoy it. And if you're looking for a back and forth, like fast paced sport to get into, if you're just one of these like purely political people, I would recommend just watching this. It's going to be all over TV the next 2 weeks, so that would be easy viewing. There's a lot going on in the NFL, which is really strange. The NFL usually has pretty quiet off seasons. Tom Brady is coming back, which is kind of unfortunate. Yeah, no face cam, so I'm going to take a sip of water. You can't see it. Yeah, Tom Brady's back. it's probably going to largely be irrelevant. He's not winning any more Super Bowls. I know that's not like a super bold take because he's 45 and his team isn't the greatest in the conference anymore. But he's back. We got to talk about him, whatever. And when I say we, I mean like people online, not me, because I don't really care. It has nothing to do with my Giants. Yeah, and my Giants, they signed like the first like somewhat high profile black quarterback like ever. They usually never have black quarterbacks on the Giants because their owners are all like old, decrepit white guys, which isn't a bad thing, but I have a funny feeling they're kind of racist, so they don't really have black quarterbacks. But they signed Tyrod Taylor, which honestly I think is fine. He's a good player. If Daniel Jones doesn't pan out, hopefully the rest of the roster is good enough where they can be competitive. But that remains to be seen. Kyrie Irving, unvaxxed Kyrie Irving. I spoke about him in one of my first videos. Yes, it's cool that he's unvaxxed, refuses to get vaxxed, and whatever, won't budge. But he's still a militant and like BLM, whatever. So we have to temper our expectations with him. But yeah, he scored 60 points in his game last night. So it's another example of unvaxxed excellence. And the funny thing is, if people aren't aware, he plays for the Brooklyn Nets. So as far as New York, I guess big gatherings go, I don't know the exact law, but you have to be vaccinated for, I guess in Kyrie Irving's case, you have to be vaccinated to play like home games, basically. If he wants to play in New York in his gym, you have to be vaccinated with their new mayor or whatever. That's the law. He can play the away games. He can play in any other state, as far as I know. I'm not sure about Canada, but he can play in any other state. He just can't play the away game, or can't play the home games, I mean. So, he goes to the away games. This was in Orlando last night, and all the Orlando fans get treated to Kyrie Irving, who's one of the most entertaining players like ever to watch. And this was kind of interesting to me because people, especially Nick and a lot of the political guys, they like to shit on sports all the time. But people take for granted like one of the most powerful like entities in America, like the most powerful unifying things in the United States today is sports. And what I mean by that is like if you mess with people's sports, we already know the toxic discourse on like sports Twitter, but in a snap, both left and right, all of those people would instantly come together. Like when an owner is going to sell the team or whatever, or they're going to relocate, you could see everyone from that city up in arms on the internet. Political affiliations be damned. That whole city, that whole state will unite and just totally like shit on the owner, like the mayors of those states, or governor or whatever. Yeah, mayor's a city, governor of the states, like trying to get it blocked, trying to like begging to reconsider. People get death threats. So my point is, the people of New York, they're going to become so restless seeing one of the like most exciting players in the world keep doing all these amazing things on the court everywhere but their home court. And it's probably going to come to a boiling point where people are probably just going to start boycotting games if they can't watch Kyrie Irving play at home, because of their new black governor or mayor or whatever. I don't remember. But I remember when he got in, he was like lauding the COVID thing or the legislation that wasn't letting him play. And I think he said something the other day where he wasn't going to budge. But if Kyrie Irving keeps doing this and, people are clamoring all over the league and the country to see him play, like whenever the Nets are in town, the ticket prices go up. Let me get another sip. Yeah, but I have a prediction that, New York will not be pleased especially because the Knicks suck. Um, take away basketball from the city of New York, take away Kyrie Irving, and the people will rise up. And the governor, the black dude, he'll probably change the law anyway, just because, just to be in touch with the rest of the country. Everyone's getting rid of masks and vax shit anyway. My job just got rid of their mask, on-site mask mandate, so things are changing. But I thought that was pretty interesting. Anything else? Not really. Well, I guess I'll just move on to the things I wanted to discuss more in depth. You see my screen? Yeah. So this came out last week. Brittney Griner, who's a 6'9" black woman who plays in the WNBA. I mentioned this in a different video briefly. Since the WNBA can't really pay their athletes as much as the athletes would like, because no one watches the games, and so they don't have any revenue generated, and kind of how that cycle works. So they're forced to play overseas in the WNBA offseason just to make as much money as they would like. So I guess Brittney Griner plays in Russia in the offseason, and just for context for what happened, Russia is at war right now. Things are kind of elevated security. People are on edge or whatever. So, laws are being enforced more stringently, blah, blah, blah. So Brittney Griner flies in. At first I thought she was flying out and they were holding her hostage, but apparently she was flying into the country like she normally does every year to get with her team. And she got stopped by airport security because she had a weed or vape pen on her person. And, they arrested her, took her in. And apparently no one's heard from her since. And this story broke in America a week or two ago. But in the story that broke, it came out that Brittney Griner had already been detained for 3 weeks up until that point. So this is running for 5 weeks now where no one's even heard a peep from Brittney Griner because she, had to bring marijuana into Russia for some reason. Some people just can't help themselves, I guess. But yeah, so since I thought this story was one of the more comical and entertaining ones, this is something I'm going to talk about. So the BBC put out an article either yesterday or today that I'm going to read. I read most of it a half hour ago, and it just kept getting more funny as I was reading it. So hopefully this will be somewhat entertaining. Before I begin, I will get another sip of water. All right, we have the bold face. She's arguably the greatest female basketball player of all time, and she's been detained in Moscow amid the war in Ukraine. Fans want to know why more people aren't paying attention. And at first, the funniest thing about that is people are kind of creating a controversy where there is none. If Russia has no laws against having marijuana on your person in the airport, she goes about her day like nothing happened. On the other hand, if Russia does have laws prohibiting marijuana on your person in the airport, you get detained, you get arrested, you serve some time, end of story. So basically, you break no laws, nothing happens. You break laws, shit happens. So I don't understand what's there to pay attention to, This isn't even a crazy law either, She broke the law, she's serving the time, she's on the other side of the world. So, Are we expecting to hear a whole lot about this situation from a country that's currently at war right now, aka they have bigger fish to fry than to disclose news about a WNBA player? No. So, yeah, that's kind of funny. But yeah, here we go. In one of the last public sightings of Brittney Griner captured on CCTV, the American professional basketball player is seen walking through airport security trailing a small black suitcase. Miss Greiner, a star center spelled the gay way, the British way, for the Phoenix Mercury, had landed at the Sheremetyevo Airport outside Moscow, there to play another season with a Russian league. And I already explained why that happens, because they don't make enough money, according to them. In the security footage, she wears running shoes, black sweatpants, and a black hoodie with "Black Lives for Peace" written on the back, her dark hair hanging in locks down past her shoulders. So like I said, the story gets better and better. She's wearing diversity and social justice propaganda on her as she enters Russia with marijuana on her. So you can't make this stuff up. You have a walking billboard for social justice, the globalist American empire, walk into your airport, and she immediately gets arrested, and no one's heard from her for over a month. So, I will say, hopefully they're not like torturing her or anything, because that would be wrong. But the whole concept of that, Russian security eyeballs this behemoth of a person walking into the airport. Maybe they check her bag for that, maybe they don't, but they probably did. But they check her bag, and lo and behold, tall, extremely tall black woman, definitely not from around these parts. She's got marijuana in her bag. What are the odds of that? So, like I said, very funny. Let's see. Yeah, at 6'9" tall, or 6'9" tall, even by basketball standards, she towers above the customs agents and other travelers. That's true. 6'9" is very tall. That's as tall as Nick is. The old running joke. In another shot, she is seen sitting in front of a man, seemingly a customs agent, shaking her head no, then nothing, until a Russian mugshot emerged on state television last week. I couldn't find the, that was like a real low moment of me. I was going to say I looked but couldn't find it, but honestly, I didn't look. Maybe it's out there, but I'm not going to look. I already know what she looks like, but if it does exist, it's probably pretty funny. I don't know why they keep calling her Miss Griner. They just say Griner or Brittney Griner. But this is a British person, so maybe that's how they do it over there. But Miss Greiner, 31, is believed to have been arrested by Russian authorities on drug charges. That's not believed. I guess it depends on if you don't believe what Russia is saying, but that's been confirmed according to Russia. That's why they arrested her, for having the weed pen. All right. A month after her detention, little is known about her circumstances. The uncertainty around her fate has fueled an outpouring of support for the player, who is considered by fans and sports analysts alike to be perhaps the greatest female basketball player of all time. That's another funny little paragraph. I'm no WNBA analyst, but if I had to guess, being 6'9" amongst all the other women in that league, that is a considerable advantage. And just by merely being at least like 3-4 inches taller than the next tallest person on the court, you're going to be like Wilt Chamberlain playing against all the white guys back in the 60s. So pretty easy path to the Hall of Fame and greatest of all time status, or whatever league you're in for that. So it's not exactly a high bar. But I also think it's funny that there's sports analysts for the WNBA. I wonder how much they get paid for that. That might be a sweet gig. Let's see. And it has also engendered a sense of... Engendered? That can't be the right word, but moving on. A sense of outrage among some fans who say the response to Miss Griner's detainment has been strangely muted. Yeah, I talked about that in the beginning. What more is there to say about this? She's not I guess the speculation is that she's a political prisoner. But, I'm willing to take Russia at their word. They found her with illegal drugs on her in the airport, so they arrested her. Period, end of story. What's there to debate? What more does Russia need to say about this? Like, I guess they could come out with like a sentencing or what the time she's facing, but we're just being spoiled at that point. We don't exactly, as the American public, we don't have a right to that information, And frankly, who really cares? Okay. Fans and experts say that the attention she's been given in comparison to male players exposes long-standing gender inequities in professional sports. I actually wrote a paper about this. It was like 10 or 11 pages, single-spaced. So it's basically like 18, 19 pages. So basically I'm an expert on the male-female dichotomy between professional sports. That I'm only half joking. I did write a serious paper on that in school. I did get an A, obviously. But even if you're an outsider looking in, the most obvious reason is because no one likes watching female sports. It's really all there is to it. If no one's going to watch, the only reason the WNBA exists, this is something, I learned when researching, they're on life support, and the plug that's like plugged into the wall, keeping them breathing, is the NBA. Purely for social justice, posturing reasons. The NBA injects like cash, and like they inject cash into the league, and they like force like TNT and ESPN, like, hey, if you want to, show and broadcast NBA games, because that's like what America wants. It's the second most popular sport in the country. If you want that, ESPN and TNT, well, guess what? You're going to show WNBA games too. So it's a package deal. So they're on the big channels or whatever, and still no one watches them. Even Joe Schmo, who's just like looking for something to watch, just like on a weekend, flipping through channels. No one in their right mind is stopping it on a WNBA game unless you're like me and my friends. We'll leave it on for a minute or two and just kind of laugh, and then put on a rerun of, I don't know, any sitcom. So, where was that? Yeah, the long-standing gender inequities. I suppose that's true. There are inequities, but once you look into the reasons for that, there's really not much more to say. And I don't have a problem that female sports exist. If women want to play sports at all or professionally, all the power to them. I wish they wouldn't for their sake, but I think they want to, whatever. But that said, if that's what they choose to do, there can't be outrage over, like, what are they going to do? Force people to watch? No. So yeah, it's just a never-ending shit show with female sports. Let's see. Ooh, a quote. If this was an NBA, like how they have to specify that. If this was an NBA player of her, I hate that, how they're doing that with the R and the E. It's going to mess me up. If this was an NBA player of her caliber, this would be on the cover of not only every sports page, but every news media page in the world, said Tamarin Spruill, a sports journalist who is writing a book on the WNBA and Miss Griner's contributions to the league. That first part, that's honestly probably true, but it really would never happen. Because, if you're an NBA player, you don't have to go overseas to play. Even the worst players in the league, that even if they play in the G League, which is like, I forget what the farm league, the farm teams, like for baseball, it's like the minor leagues, that's what it is, for basketball. They make at least like a couple $100,000 on their contracts. So that's not, that problem doesn't exist. But on the other hand, the people that aren't good enough to play in the NBA, they play in their like European or Asian or Middle Eastern basketball leagues year round. So they're either there all year or here all year. There's none of this like traveling back and forth, risking your I don't know, you're not being arrested because of bringing marijuana in the airport. Like that problem doesn't exist. So the premise right here is wrong from, I'm assuming, highly esteemed sports journalist Tamarin Spruill, who is writing a book on the WNBA and Miss Griner's contributions to the league. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. I'm sure it's going to be a real banger. It's going to be on Barnes and Nobles and Amazon bestseller. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Miss Greiner, a 9-year veteran of the league, is the best of the best, said Melissa. I like how they're citing all these experts and known people in the field of women's sports. Like we're supposed to know who these people are. Like it provides any credence to the not credence, any validity to what this author is saying. Like no one really cares. I'm reading it because it's funny, not because I care. Let's just establish that. But yeah, it said Melissa Isaacson, a sports writer and professor at Northwestern University in the U.S. state of Illinois. So yeah, good school like Northwestern have this person who obviously, I'll just say she's not right wing or apolitical. So that sucks. But oh yeah, this definitely doesn't make it better. She's every bit the Tom Brady of her sport, Miss Isaacson said. You could argue very accurately that she is one of the best athletes in the world. All right, yeah. Definitely a lot of problems with that statement. She's every bit the Tom Brady of her sport. Like, man, we could quibble about Tom Brady, whether he's the GOAT, greatest of all time in his sport or not. The majority of people say he is. I don't. That's not what this is about. But if he's not, he's like top 2, top 3. And this is the whole thing with like John McEnroe. I think that's a tennis player that always used to rage all the time on the court. A couple years ago, this is probably more than a couple years ago, but he said they're talking about Serena Williams. That's the black woman tennis player in America who used to be like so much better than everyone. They were talking about her, like the women on the set were saying, like she's one of the best players in the world. And then I don't remember the exact context, but John McEnroe ended up saying, "Well, I don't know about best players," and they're like, "Oh, what do you mean?" Like, well, I would probably take the 250th best male tennis player in the world and put him up against Serena Williams, and the male would still probably win. And people got very upset and outraged about that, but you can't deny it. People don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. But yeah, when the esteemed Melissa Isaacson, who is a professor at Northwestern, has the audacity to say you could argue, that's another linguistic trick. I talked about this in my writing video. When you say things like you could, or like many people are saying, you could argue very accurately that she is one of the best athletes in the world. Yeah, you could argue about that. You'd be wrong, and people would call you retarded for that, and everyone would laugh at you and tell you to stop talking about sports. You could do that, but hopefully you wouldn't, because that would be instant disqualifier. So I don't know why you would make this statement. You could, yeah, you could do a lot of things. You could stop writing about sports and teaching at Northwestern and do everyone a favor. You could do that, but you're not going to do that. Just like you wouldn't say something as silly as this. But yeah, they're ruining my sports. They're ruining the discourse. All right, moving on. A native of Houston, Texas, she earned a basketball scholarship to Baylor University, where she led the team to a national championship. She is now one of the WNBA's most dominant players in history, widely considered the best offensive player in the league. Yeah, I guess all she has to do is get under the basket and just lay it up. She's taller than everyone. Yeah, but that's obvious. If you have accomplished what Miss Griner has done, winning a college championship, WNBA and EuroLeague titles, and an Olympic gold medal, and famously, her ability to dunk is unmatched. So, in fairness, she has an Olympic gold medal and a lot of other accolades. So, oh, geez, I just saw that. But yeah, so full disclosure, that's really cool and impressive to have like an Olympic gold medal and be the best at what you do, like the best in your profession. So I won't make fun of that, but it is a WNBA, so we'll take it with a grain of salt. And yeah, her ability to dunk is unmatched. If you've ever caught any clips of the WNBA, it's a lot of layups because they're not very tall and they're not very athletic. So Brittney Griner being 6'9", and then you add her wingspan on top of it. The fact that she has the ability to dunk already sets her apart from like 90% of the league because I'm assuming there's only a couple people in the league that can actually dunk anyway. So this statement is kind of bombastic and unnecessary. Oh yeah, this is probably the gay stuff. The literally gay stuff. Off the court, she has also been seen as a trailblazer, coming out as gay at age 22, just around the time of her entry into professional sport. All right, I'm going to keep reading. Unfortunately, we have to see her kissing. I'm assuming her significant other. Yeah, that's gross. No way around it. She then became the first overall draft pick in the WNBA that year, and soon after, the first openly gay athlete to be endorsed by Nike. Really? What year is that? 22. I don't know how old she is now. I'm surprised that they couldn't find a guy who was gay to do that. Not that it matters, but let's see. Before Greiner, there was a shadow over the league where it was like, don't say gay, Miss Brule said. And she was just like, screw that. This is who I am. Well, I mean, it's obvious that a large portion of the WNBA are gay women. That shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. A lot of them are, real butch looking, like buzz cuts, stuff like that. There's been stories of like domestic violence from WNBA players with their female spouses on more than one occasion. So, yeah, that's something funny about that. But yeah, it's also convenient to. She's a 6'9" like unicorn that's like never been seen in the WNBA before. She could have, in addition to saying she was gay, she probably could have said she was a murderer. Like she got away with like 10 murders when she was younger, and they still would have drafted her anyway, just because she's basically a once in a lifetime woman, being that she's 6'9" and athletic. So I'm sure WNBA teams are willing to let a lot slide to try and get someone into the team, into the league, trying to get some eyes and butts in seats and stuff like that. So that's not really saying much. Like, oh, screw that. This is who I am. Like, yeah, congratulations. Half the league is gay too. BG's Brittany Griner has always been one to be a pioneer. Griner's teammate Diana Taurasi has said. Despite all this, Miss Griner had a second job, and that was why she had flown to Russia to play for EuroLeague team UMMC Ekaterinburg, where she had worked since 2014 during the U.S. offseason. Roughly half of WNBA players compete overseas in the offseason. For most, it's a way to augment their domestic income. WNBA players receive roughly 5 times more in Russia than they do in the U.S. That's actually surprising to me. I didn't know like the pay there was a pay difference. I just thought they did it so they can earn an income during the off season. So that's interesting, I suppose. If she were Steph Curry or LeBron James, she wouldn't be over there at all because she'd be making enough money, Miss Brule said. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Again, why do you feel the need to make this statement? We can all assume this on our own. If she was in the NBA and she was like one of the best players of all time, like Steph Curry, LeBron James, you're saying she would be making more money? Uh, yeah, okay. Very. I'm glad. I'm glad you made that point. Miss Griner's counterparts in the men's league make more than 200 times the maximum WNBA salary. You know, more money to go around, more money to give around. It's really as simple as that. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine on February 24th, the EuroLeague suspended all Russian teams and US and WNBA officials began calling players out of the country. But it was too late for Brittney Griner, who is believed to have entered Russia 1 week earlier, on February 17th, though the timing remains unclear. The Russian Federal Customs Service said in a press release that a sniffer dog had led authorities to search the carry-on luggage of an American basketball player, and that it had found vape cartridges containing, what is that, hashish oil? A state-owned Russian news agency, TASS, identified the player as Miss Griner. Okay, so apparently that shit was loud as hell because a drug-sniffing dog, sniped her out of the crowd. And found marijuana in her bag. So according to this, she wasn't profiled or anything. She just had some dank weed in her backpack and stood no chance against airport security. So no sympathy from me. Russian authorities only confirmed her detention the third week of March, though they disclosed she was stopped at the airport in February. Where she is being held and under what circumstances is not publicly known. Yeah, it's very scary. Hello, look at that airtime. Let's see. Griner is the first woman in the league to consistently dunk. Wow, look at that crowd. I'm surprised. That must be like open. That must have been her first game or something. Let's see. U.S. authorities and representatives for Brittney Griner have been mostly silent, except to say they are working to bring her home. Okay. A State Department State Department? Is that from us? State Department spokesperson confirmed the player's detention, telling the BBC they were aware of and closely engaged on this case. And honestly, I'm inclined to believe that because this country sucks and they would care that a WNBA player got arrested for breaking the law in another country. Let's see. U.S. Secretary of State, I think it's Anthony. Anthony Blinken said last week that American officials are doing everything we can to help her. Another excellent allocation of American resources. There's only so much I can say given the privacy considerations at this point, Mr. Blinken said. Ms. Griner's agent, Lindsay Colas, has said she was in close contact with the player and her lawyer in Russia, but could not comment further. While there is no indication that Ms. Griner's arrest was connected to the invasion of Ukraine, some U.S. officials have indicated strained U.S.-Russian relations may jeopardize her safe return. Oh no. Everyone, stop what you're doing. There's a WNBA player who needs our help. Yeah, so not only are, U.S. State Department, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they called Putin a war criminal today. So not only are they stoking the flames of this global conflict and making everything worse, and, we're kind of almost at peace, Russia and Ukraine, because Russia's just steamrolling them at this point. Ukraine's basically out of gas, out of manpower. But, Zelensky, he's an actual war criminal, calling for a no-fly zone over Ukraine, asking the U.S. to intervene. So, yeah, there might be no end in sight for this thing. And, if the U.S. does something, and yeah, another thing, too, they're sending millions of dollars in aid to Ukraine. Like, that shit that's our money. That's taxpayers' dollars. Like, I don't work for that, It's very, very gay and annoying. So, frankly, I don't really give a shit. That's not nice, but I hope it works out for her. But, yeah, I don't think we need to engage and stoke the flames of a global conflict for her sake. Let's get our priorities in order here. Let's end the war, stop being an asshole to Russia, and then we can book her a ticket back home instead of sending billions of dollars all across the world. But all that aside, let's see. We don't want Miss Greiner to become a pawn in the political battle that's being waged throughout the world right now, said U.S. Congressman John Garamendi, a member of the House of Representatives Armed Service Committee. The war in Ukraine has essentially severed diplomatic ties between the U.S. and Russia, Mr. Garamendi said. That is going to exacerbate this issue. First, hopefully no one is talking about this issue because there is a world war going on. This situation can wait. Yeah, we all know who's at fault here for the severed diplomatic ties. Just America has to stop being asshole and just acknowledge reality and just I don't know, just cut the shit. Just acknowledge Russia's borders. And tell NATO to quit it with the expansion and yada yada yada. Russia has so far blocked consular access to Brittney Griner for the U.S. Embassy, he said. She could face up to 10 years in prison if convicted on drug charges. Whoa, I didn't know that. Listen, I spoke about marijuana before. I think marijuana should not be legal except for medicinal reasons. Like recreationally, I don't think it should be legal. 10 years? I just thinking about it right now, it sounds a bit extreme. This is Russia, not the US, by the way. I guess the laws were more extreme and stringent there. But damn, 10 years. I guess that's one way to learn a lesson, though. 10 years, once she gets out, be totally out of her athletic prime. Man, that would suck. The U.S. Embassy in Russia did not respond to a request for comment. Okay, not a lot left. As Miss Greiner nears the end of what is believed to have been a month in detention, some fans have been left incredulous by an apparent lack of attention for a world-class athlete in prison among sports media. Like I said, there's a literal world war going on right now. People's attention are elsewhere. Like I said, someone breaking the law and getting arrested in another country, it's gonna take a seat. It's gonna be on the back burner until the whole world war news is over. Some have speculated that the silence may be intentional, an effort to avoid inflaming an already precarious situation and amid negotiations with Russia. That might be true. But others, like Miss Spruill, say the somewhat muffled coverage on Miss Greiner lays bare the clear inequities faced by female athletes. Okay, this Miss Spruill is obviously a pea brain, pea brain woman who needs to stop talking about my precious sports. Like really, this issue shines a light on the inequities faced by female athletes. Yeah, she's been playing in Russia since 2014. Is that what the article said? I don't think this is. I'm assuming this no marijuana in the airport is not a new law as of 2022. I'm assuming she knows not to bring it into the country. Now all of a sudden it's a big deal. Yeah, but I guess any chance we can shame women or shame men and counter signal men's sports relative to female sports, these people will do it. Much more ink has been devoted to male players, whether it is American football players Tom Brady's, that's too many S's, Tom Brady's on-again, off-again retirement, Novak Djokovic's COVID saga in Australia, or Aaron Rodgers' vaccination status, than to Brittney Griner, Miss Spruill points out. Well, I will point out that none of this other men's sports news has occurred during the World War. So that is my opinion on what is the main difference here. But I think Miss Spruill would argue that it's actually female male inequities between professional sports. But I think I'm right. Nearly 60,000 fans have signed an online petition organized by Miss Spruill. That's funny. Demanding the U.S. government prioritize her safe return and treat her like any other sports icon. Okay, that's really funny. She's not a sports icon. Um, and 60,000 fans have signed an online petition. I wonder who, where that goes to, and who's wiping their ass with it. Because that's going to do literally nothing. There has absolutely not been enough coverage, Miss Spruill said. It's hard for me to read that. Let me see. It's hard for me to read that. What? It's hard for me to read that other than a choice by the broader media. Oh, whatever. Miss Griner's wife, Sherelle, posted on Instagram last week about the painful wait. People say stay busy, yet there's not a task in this world that could keep any of us from worrying about you. My heart, our hearts, are all skipping beats every day that goes by, she wrote. There are no words to express this pain. I'm hurting and we're hurting. Yeah, so very sad, very unfortunate. We all weep for the loss of Brittney Griner's presence in America. But yeah, in all seriousness, I guess it's not pleasant for her, but I don't really have much sympathy because she's breaking their laws. So, how long is this video going on? My mouth is getting dry. Damn. I wanted to look at Twitter stuff because it's funny to see what people are saying. Yeah, I won't beat a dead horse like I do all the time on here, even though I say I don't want to. Yeah, everyone's clamoring to bring her home, but yeah, there's a global conflict at the moment, so I'll try and skip all the stuff. Yeah, Hillary Clinton, free Britney. Jeez Louise. In general, in the US, there is a perverse use of black mugshots for entertainment and viral clicks. Well, there's also a plethora of black mugshots, so you know, when the supply is high, you're gonna get a lot of mileage out of black mugshots. What's happening with Brittany Griner is so unbelievably terrifying and sad. She needs to return home safely and soon. Like, come on. Oh, Jamel Hill. What did Jamel Hill say? What does it say about American support of professional women's basketball when Brittney Griner and other WNBA players find themselves being treated better in oppressive countries like Russia and China? My latest column for The Atlantic. I kind of want to click on it and read it, but I don't want to subject anyone to additional torture. Yeah, Jamel Hill's not exactly like talented or going to provide any groundbreaking analysis here. It's really simple. People don't care about the WNBA. People don't care about women's sports. It's not a sexist thing to say. It's just a fact. Because men don't care about it and women don't care about it either. No, literally no one watches. So I guess if you go to Russia and China, where the professional men's display of basketball is going to be not as good as America, I guess maybe it's better for women over there. Just because there's not such a stark difference. That can be the only way I can rationalize the better treatment. And maybe she's saying better treatment because they get paid more. I don't know. But it's hard to get any money for your business if there's no there's no demand. Jamel Hill should know that. She's college educated. Everyone has to take what are they called? The generic classes, the core classes, gen eds, intro to business. Like it's supply and demand, you know. Brittney Griner should be trending every single day, full stop. Maybe, but no one cares. Yeah, like all this concern about America's lack of a response. Like we have the most like left wing, like radically social justice, whatever government ever right now. But how much more can I emphasize it? There is a war going on that involves one of the biggest superpowers on the planet. I don't know why people are so shocked that something as irrelevant as the WNBA isn't being talked about as much as a war. But I don't know if people are prioritizing virtue signaling over like not looking like an idiot online. I'm just venting at this point. Yeah, this is yes, a clear example of sexism. Oh, the White House spoke about it? Is this a long clip? No, we'll listen to it.
I want to find out what's the latest on Brittney Griner, if you have an update, and also what is the end goal when it comes to this situation for the Biden administration?
The end goal of the war
Resolution for Brittney Griner in the midst of all of this.
Well, we have of course seen the reports.
That's actually pretty funny. Whoever the press or the reporter, she like asked about Brittney Griner, and like she asked, "What's the resolution of this going to be?" And Jen Psaki's kind of coming at it from where I'm coming from. She's like, "Okay, so you're asking about the war, right? You know, the war with Russia and Ukraine." And the reporter's like, no, you know, the WNBA player. Like literally, no one cares. There's bigger fish to fry.
I cannot speak to the specifics of it because we do not have a Privacy Act waiver. But our objective is always to bring American citizens home who are detained in foreign countries. So that will remain our focus, and that's what we'd like to see the end outcome to be.
Is this Putin's bargaining chip? Is she Putin's bargaining chip?
Again.
That's an insult to Putin. Could you imagine if like like at the negotiating table, you know, Joe Biden and Blinken and like that purple-haired woman, like, we demand you like put an end to the war and yada yada yada. And, you know, Putin's like, oh, you know what? We demand you stay out of this or we're going to detain your famous WNBA player. Ay, ay, ay. This self-serious journalist nonsense it's going to kill me.
Again, I can't speak to the specifics of this case, April. I certainly understand why you're asking, but our focus right now on our how we're going to bring an end to the conflict is to support and boost up the Ukrainians, to support diplomatic.
Yo, Psaki bomb. April Ryan, that's the fat black woman that's always like libtard posting on Twitter. So yeah, get Psaki bomb, dumb bitch.
Conversations and to continue to provide a range of assistance in that light.
But you can't speak to specifically why she's detained, all of that. But the end result, can you get into a little bit of the weeds, the minutia, as to what you're doing and how to bring her back?
I cannot speak to that from here. We don't have a Privacy Act waiver, I would say again, but also for any American citizen held, we typically do not get into specifics because that is not constructive to bringing people home.
Download the real.
I could not get into the specifics of that, nor do I care. Next question. Damn, that was pretty funny. Jen Psaki sucks and we hate her, but in the words of the Twitter liberals, the Psaki bomb gets shit on, journalist. Ibram X. Kendi. I've heard of him. He's one of Darren Beatty's esteemed shoe shiners and Diet Coke retrievers. Anything? Yes. Andy Levin. Andy Levin believes this is a racial issue. Very, very interesting and totally unsurprising from Andy Levin. Yes. Yes, terrifying. We're all losing sleep. Oh, this looks militant. The normalization of bullying black women in sports. Black women in sports. It doesn't sound black. Naomi Osaka? It sounds Japanese. I don't know, maybe she's mixed. Is on the same spectrum of misogynoir. That's supposed to be misogyny? Is that a word? Man, am I an idiot? Or is this guy an idiot? Whatever. That has led to media barely covering Brittney Griner being held hostage in Russia. People refuse to acknowledge the realities in front of us. Love to Naomi Osaka. Is someone going to remind these people that there's a war going on? This is incredible. I mean, obviously this is all virtue signaling. People don't really care about her. It's just a way to, like, hey, look at me. I care about women and black women and women's sports and whatever. But it's just kind of retarded and, shows a lack of awareness and tone deaf because of the war going on. Keith Olbermann, he's another gem. The correct response to the Russians taking Brittney Griner hostage is to revoke the work permits of all Russian nationals playing sports and providing Putin with passive support here. Ovechkin, Kaprizov, everybody else out. That would be funny, but probably not effective. Is there anything else here that isn't exactly repetitive? This guy sucks. I think he's made videos about Nick before. Why isn't the Brittney Griner story a WNBA star, American Olympian who was just captured by Putin's Russian police without a trace, the biggest sports story in America right now? Because no one cares about women's sports, obviously. But just look at the verbiage here. Captured by Putin's Russian police without a trace. She wasn't captured, she was arrested. Not by Putin's, secret Russian police. Not the Gestapo. It was by, literal TSA for having marijuana in the airport. But, people eat that up. Is this a based woman? Brittney Griner said we should stop playing the U.S. national anthem before games. She refuses to take the court when the national anthem plays. Now she is stuck in Russia. Who cares? Wow. I don't care. Yeah. Oh, this guy. Free Brittney Griner. The comments on his stuff is usually pretty funny. This is the last thing I'll look at. Since when does anyone care about a little THC? Russia does. They have laws, so don't break them. It's not hard. Yeah, it's pretty much true. Alright, yeah, there's some people pointing it out. What? Nope, what the F ever. I'm black. Apparently, she thought her stardom trumped traveling while black. Every trip through an airport, I've been singled out and given the black 6'3" terrorist treatment. Every last GD time. Traveling while black means following the rules. No ifs, ands, or buts. Uh. How's about, traveling at all in an airport means following the rules. No ifs, ands, or buts. The rules suck. Like mask shit and all that. No one likes it, but do you want to go from point A to point B? Just follow the rules. Like I don't understand the disconnect here. It's not hard. You're not getting pulled aside because you're 6'3" and black, or maybe he's only traveled one time and he's being disingenuous. Ew, gross. Seems like this should be a bigger story. Can't. Oh, is this a joke? Can't quite figure out why it's not. So we're blaming white people. Not the war, but white people. Alright, yeah, that's enough of that. The dead horse has been beaten into pieces. Yeah, frankly, this video's been long enough. Anyway, alright, well, I guess briefly, this UFC fighter, Bryce Mitchell, he's from Arkansas. He's like a real redneck, a real man's man. He was on Tucker Carlson the other night because he's been speaking about politics. He's been shitting on Joe Biden. He's been asking questions like, why do we, like, what's going on with the dollar? Like, the federal, who's in the Federal Reserve? They're in charge of the dollar, but no one elects these people. Very, very interesting, very important questions that I think we deserve some answers to. And I don't really feel like going over all the Twitter stuff, but this meme got posted. I saw on Gab today. The whole, like, the epic handshake between, like, the low end of the spectrum IQ and the high end of the spectrum IQ. And then you got the middle, which is the midwits. That's what they're called. They're like the college educated, like nothing special, like nobodies who, the pervasive people you see on the internet that, yeah, they all had like masks and like needles in their Twitter handles, and now they're all Ukrainian flags. So like these people. So yeah, I wanted to play this clip, and obviously, Bryce Mitchell, he's not the he's not the most well spoken. Doesn't have the best vocabulary or whatever. He's not like a math whiz or a science whiz or anything like that. But it's kind of like if someone was around during Trump and they were like in a coma and they woke up right now and like missed the first 2 years of Biden's presidency, and they just went outside and like they saw that gas was $3 more a gallon than it was before they were in a coma. There's no food on the shelves in the grocery store. There's a global conflict going on right now. They'd be like, "What the hell's going on here? Like, what happened?" Something ain't right. So yeah, you got the other end of the spectrum asking like basic, but important questions, but you got the midwits kind of justifying and rationalizing everything. Like, oh, why is gas so expensive? Oh, well, Putin and Russia. But like, one, I question the validity of that. Why is that? Two, like, what are we? Is that true? And two, what are we doing about it? Why is the U.S. not energy independent? Does anyone care like about that? But yeah, I'll just play the clip. Stop blabbering.
It's funny that they're accusing you of treason. Why do you think almost everyone in the media, and I mean almost everybody, in both political parties, and of course the White House.
You know, I will say this guy's awesome. He's an entertaining fighter. He's a good guy, nice guy. And I said this about the UFC before. He fights in the UFC. If you're like right wing, you don't watch sports because it's all paused and everything, which I understand, I suppose. But I encourage you to like just watch the UFC. Most of the fighters are right wing. None of them talk about politics because it's either everyone is already right wing and there's no point in talking about it, or the minority of like liberals that fight for the UFC are like us. Like in regular life, they're too afraid to like talk about things online because all their coworkers and affiliates are just gonna, you know, side eye them and make fun of them, like in the gym and behind the scenes. So that's pretty funny. But I'll play the rest of the clip.
Are all on the same page that you need to get behind this war with Russia. Why is that so important to them? Do you have any sense?
Well, I don't exactly know what their agenda is with the whole war on Russia, but I do know that these people are trying to destroy our country because they are profiting off the downfall of our country. And if y'all don't see what's going on, you are blinded every day. You know, our inflation gets worse, our debt gets worse. Our actual currency is controlled by a small group called the Federal Reserve that ain't federal and ain't a reserve. So it's insidious in nature. It's made to control. We have a lot of problems, and it's going to take a lot of things to fix it.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you're saying.
It is amazing because, like, you know, the meme. You got all these college-educated people, and they're just spigots for, you know, State Department propaganda. Then you have this guy who's just a random UFC fighter. You know, he's kind of more well known now, so he's making decent money. But he used to not make great money. But he just, you know, he goes outside. He sees everything is like 20 times more expensive than it used to be 2 years ago. Gas is crazy expensive. Shelves are empty in the grocery store. So he's asking questions like, what the hell happened? And then you get people on Twitter like bashing the guy like, oh, you just don't get it. Putin is a, you know, bloodthirsty animal, and he wants to see the world burn like Joker. So he's, you know, killing Ukrainian children and committing war crimes and crippling the U.S. with, you know, all that other bullshit. So it's pretty funny, like just hearing him talk. He's like a southern like hick kind of guy, but I totally respect him. Like, like I said, just he looks around in like everyday normal life and is asking questions like, what the hell happened? What is going on? And yeah, that's really basically all there is to it. But I don't know. Yeah, Bryce Missiles are so cringe. You're a faggot. I wanna hear him talk more. It's just so perfect.
Oh, well, you're just you know, they say shut up and fight. You know what I mean? Well, you know what? If you don't want to hear that shit, turn off the TV and watch the fight. You don't got to watch my interviews. But if we, the people, do not choose and are not active in conversations about what's going on in our government, well, then these idiots are going to control everything we do and we won't have a say in it. So, yeah, I'm political because these people control me. And then you want to tell me that I can't talk and I have to shut up and fight and I can't talk about... No, I'm controlled completely by the government. I'm controlled completely by the value of the dollar because I get paid in dollars, okay? I don't get paid in pure gold. I get paid in dollars. And so I have a say about, in my opinion, I have a say about political issues.
It's so perfect. Like you could tell like he kind of has a surface level of understanding what's going on. He's not as obviously like politically invested as we are, but I mean he's describing it perfectly well. Like, I don't even know what else to say. I don't have the answers to his questions. I'm trying to figure it out too. Just so good. No, anything else here? But honestly, calling out the Federal Reserve, it's pretty based. Yeah, there's a 7-minute clip. Yeah, unfortunately, Benny Johnson reposted it because he's gay. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, he's a great dude. Look into him. I jumped on the Bryce Mitchell train, looked around, jumped right back off. Yeah, unfortunately, with every sport, there's gay, soy ingesting liberals. But yeah, look at this guy. He lives in like the woods, like the back ass of nowhere in Arkansas, and when he's not fighting, he's just like he works on his farm or whatever, just grinding, doing like normal everyday American stuff. And he's mad at the government for screwing him over left, right, and center. So MTG spoke about it. Very cool. Dinesh? Base Dinesh? Oh yeah, there's the meme. Anything else? Yeah, the guy is just a I guess unfortunately he likes to rap. But hey, if that's the only criticism of him, so be it. The guy is awesome. I'll end the video with this. This is funny, just to show how much of like a basic regular guy he is. This will drive the point home.
I'm about to offend half of Arkansas, and I don't give a damn, okay? I'd rather speak the truth than make friends. If you're shooting geese, and you're shooting turkey, and you're shooting duck, and you're not plucking them, and you're just breasting them out, you're a lazy pussy. And you might as well go vote for Joe Biden. Okay, I don't want to hear how you don't have enough time to
Amen.
them. You woke up at 3:30 in the morning and stayed out there till noon and was late till work shooting ducks and shooting geese, but you don't want to pluck them because you don't have the time. Yeah, you ever take a half shit and halfway wipe your ass because you don't got the time? No, you do the whole thing. Okay, and if you don't know what to do once you pluck it, go watch Martha Stewart on YouTube. She'll tell you what to do with it. You cook it up, you boil it, you make that broth, you pull that meat off the bone and make a gravy. Okay, and don't tell me you don't got freezer room because you got a $20,000 duck boat, you dumbass. You go buy another freezer. Okay, a deep freezer's up $150 at Walmart. So don't tell me I don't got no freezer room and I ain't got time. Y'all are lazy. I'm about to offend.
So true, King. So true. Oh man, this is why I love the UFC. Because most of the people are generally like this. This guy's just an extreme example. But yeah, that'll be the video. Yeah, feels good to kind of get back in the sports level. But this might be the last video for maybe a week or so, just because of March Madness. And like I said, I like watching. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, subscribe it, share it, get me on Cozy TV, blah blah blah. And yeah, have a good one. Bye bye.